Walt Disney World, their customer experience is unmatched. And this is what we want in our chiropractic clinics, because you can be a really good chiropractor, and I'm sure in your town there's a lot of other really good chiropractors that have good skill, but your customer service has to be better than anyone else in your area.
Dr. Duncan says, if you want to know about business, health, and places to go, welcome to the show. Yeah, welcome to the show. If you know that you want to grow your business, your practice, and portfolio, welcome to the show.
Hello, and welcome to $1 Million Chiro, the podcast for chiropractic practice owners. I'm your host, Dr. Mary Frances Duncan, founder and CEO of Simply Southern Chiropractic Center in South Carolina. I'm a chiropractor by trade in an entrepreneur's body. I'm excited to guide you through this journey at the crossroads of chiropractic care and the art of successful practice management. If you haven't already, check out my website, milliondollarchiro.co, where you can access all of our previous podcasts, online courses, and gain more insight on one-on-one coaching with me. And don't forget to stay connected by following us on all social media platforms at $1 Million Chiro. You can listen to $1 Million Chiro, the podcast, on all popular streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Ultimately, if you enjoy what you're hearing, please hit that subscribe button and leave us a glowing 5-star review. Reviews allow us to hear from our listeners and what interests you. Now, let's get to the backbone of it all. Hey everybody, and welcome to today's episode, Give Your Patients the Walt Disney World Experience. I'm Dr. Mary Frances Duncan, and I'm here with my executive assistant, Kelsey, and we are excited for today's podcast.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. Today, I'm going to be talking with Dr. Duncan about giving the patients the Walt Disney World experience. So let's go ahead and just hop on into it. So Dr. Duncan, let's first chat about this customer service standard at Walt Disney World and the importance of customer service in professional healthcare. What do you notice at Walt Disney World that makes the difference and makes it stand out to you?
So for anyone who's been to Walt Disney World, I've only been to Walt Disney World in Florida, but I'm assuming that this is probably true for other Disney World properties. But Walt Disney World, their customer experience is unmatched. Every detail is attended to. The Walt Disney employees roll the red carpet out for all of their customers. This is on their properties, hotel properties, the Walt Disney World, all those parks. I mean, every detail matters to Walt Disney, and they have thought about everything. So, for example, if you are a commuter and you park in a parking garage, it's very well branded. There's Mickey Mouse everywhere in these parking garages. The attendants are nice. They know how to answer your questions. The customer service is unmatched, and this is what we want in our chiropractic clinics, because you can be a really good chiropractor, and I'm sure in your town there's a lot of other really good chiropractors that have good skill, but your customer service has to be better than anyone else in your area. And so today we're going to really focus on the Walt Disney World experience and how we can apply that to our chiropractic offices.
Absolutely. So that's a great way to start with this. How do we apply those same practices? I mean, we don't have hidden Mickeys around the office. So how do we apply those same practices to their clinics?
So this all goes back to hiring good staff and hiring staff that are coachable and hiring staff that you can train. I talk about the staff so much because I don't think chiropractic practice owners realize how important hiring is and how important having the right team is. And so we want to start with staff members that are teachable and coachable, and we want to teach them how to have, amazing customer service, because people don't know what that looks like. And so some big things that I suggest for any of our listeners in their practices to start with is, number one, your front desk procedures and when patients come in your door. So when patients walk in your door, you need to greet them by name. So in our office, I have a rule, it's called the 3-name rule, and that means that our patients should hear their first name 3 times while they're in our office. So the first time should come from the front desk. So say, Kelsey, you come in our front door. I want our front desk assistant to say, "Hey, Kelsey, how are you doing today? I've got you, checked in. We'll be ready for your treatment, shortly." And then the doctor needs to greet the patient by their first name. And then one of our assistants, therapy assistants, will probably see these patients as well on their visit. I want them to address the patient by their first name. And so when you call someone by their first name, number one, it means it shows the patient, I know who you are. I'm going to acknowledge your presence, and you are important here. And so I took the time to learn your name, and I'm trying to form some sort of a relationship with you as our patient because we value and we care about you. I can't tell you how many times I walk into doctors' offices, and not only do they not call me by name, but I'll have the front desk that they don't even acknowledge my presence. They don't acknowledge that I walked in the door. And I know practice owners realize this, but you need to make sure that your staff understand that if patients are not coming in the door and they're not getting great customer service, then their job is on the line. If patients aren't coming in the door, then we can't pay them to be working at the clinic, and they need to have that understanding, and they're not going to have that understanding unless we tell them as practice owners. So back to the front desk and the experience when the patient walks in the door. So we want to roll out we want to roll out the red carpet for new patients. So if we have a new patient on the schedule at 4:00 and her name's Anna, and there's a girl that walks in the door at 4:00 and we've never seen her before, then her name is probably Anna. So let's take a chance and say, "Hey, Anna, it's great to see you today." It's going to make a huge impression if you know her name when she walks in the door. And so, Kelsey, when you've been to any other office, has anyone ever called you by your first name when you walked in the door for the first time?
No, not for me. And I also, with my first interview here, I was even I walked through the front door and the front staff knew my name. So that even was just like a moment of, wow, this clinic really does care about anybody who comes through this door is a part of who they are.
Yes. And practice owners, we know this. Everybody that walks through your door is keeping your clinic running. It's paying your salary. It's paying your staff salary. So every patient is important, and we need to treat them that way. So
absolutely. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about this 3-name rule. So how do you ensure that the team members on your staff always consistently use this rule? I know that everybody can get into a routine of things. So how do you make sure that staff is continually doing that?
So as a practice owner, you need to be paying attention. And so spend some time at the front desk with your front desk staff. You can be, close to the front desk where you can hear what they're saying. Be close to if you're not a one doctor practice, if you have associate doctors, then, be in the hallway. See if they are saying the patient's name when they walk in the door. You need to be around, and you need to sort of see if your clinic are implementing these things. You need to hear this for yourself. We have a staff meeting once a week, which I suggest all offices to have a staff meeting on a regular basis, because in regular meaning every week, maybe every other week, but I suggest once a week, because if you have any issues or anything you want to change, or if you want to make any pivots in your offices, then you can do it pretty quickly. You don't have to wait, until you have a staff meeting once a year. But anyways, this is something that we constantly talk about during staff meetings, is the 3-name rule. So we go over it, we remind our staff members, and our team is great. When patients come in our office with our electronic medical record system, we have Mac Practice. We're able to take photos of our patients, and that's in their file. And so if we have a new staff member that doesn't know who the patients are, what they look like, those photos really help, because when we go into the lobby, our staff member knows, they can put a name to a face. So that really helps. So yes, practice owners, managers, you need to check behind your staff and make sure that we are implementing the 3-name rule.
That's definitely something I've spent some time at the front desk at the office. I've spent some time with patients at the office, and eventually you pick up on their names. But that Mac Practice picture has helped me many a times before, making sure that I'm saying the right name, because I know that at this office, Dr. Duncan and the other doctors, they drill that to all of the staff here. So even if I'm not on the floor assisting for the day on the with the massage tables and whatnot, I will even say a name if I am just my executive assistant self for the day. So we really try and implement that at the office.
People feel important if you use their name.
Absolutely.
Or they feel valued, I should say
right. So we have the 3-name rule, and we've really talked through that. So moving on, let's talk about some other things at the front desk that your office can do to really make sure that these patients feel appreciated and like they're having that Walt Disney World experience.
Yeah, so first impressions are lasting impressions. And so we want to roll out the red carpet for all of our patients, but especially our new patients. So using their name is huge, and that really helps them feel special, helps them feel valued. It helps confirm that they are in the right place. When a new patient comes into your office, I suggest that your front desk staff come out from behind the front desk and meet the patient in the lobby. Whether you have an iPad or paperwork for them to fill out, we need that human connection. And your front desk staff can say, hey, Anna, it's so nice to meet you. I'm going to give you a tour of our office in a few minutes, and I'm going to start out with some paperwork. I'll give you a few minutes to fill out this paperwork. Before COVID, we used to shake the patient's hands, but we don't really do that anymore. You could do that if you wanted to, but we don't do that step anymore. But go around the front desk and meet them. That breaks a barrier there. And then after the patient fills out their new patient paperwork, which shouldn't take too long, we always give a tour of the office. So the purpose of the tour does several things. Number one, the tour shows off your office. I love to decorate. We have a beautiful office. I love to show it off. And it also showcases all of the things that we offer in the office, all the therapies we offer. It explains what the chiropractic tables do and what they look like. And it just really shows off your practice, and it gives a really good first impression for the new patient. So first impressions are lasting impressions. So you want to put your best foot forward when that new patient especially, comes in the door. And don't forget your existing patients, your maintenance patients. We still want to give them a great experience. We want to make sure that they want to come back. And so, we want to make sure we're using their names when they walk in the door. And if you remember something about them, about their life, or, something that they told you on their last visit, go ahead and ask them about it. Try to remember these things about patients. It makes a huge difference.
It's always funny when we bring up something to a patient. They're always quick to be like, oh, wow, you have a really good memory. So I feel like that's not something many practices do, because it's not something that, they're typically taken aback when we're like, oh, how was that garage repair that you had last week that you told us about? So we always like to make sure that we're thinking about them. And truthfully, when these maintenance patients come in, they're like family to us. They've been through an active treatment plan. They've been to the office multiple times. So we know about their lives. We know what's going on. And it's really valuable we're invested in their lives just as much as they are with us. So we really feel like it's important to really do those things and make sure that we're taking the time to take the time with the patient.
Yes, chiropractors, here's a trick of the trade. If you can't remember things, just put it in the note. Just write it down. And then when the patient comes in on their next visit, they'll think that you can remember a lot of things, which I'm sure you can, but we may forget, what's going on in their life. Well, just write yourself a little note. So that's very helpful.
Yeah, those little notes, I'm sure, help you guys out too if you see a lot of patients. So, Dr. Duncan, anything else for that front desk that you feel like is really valuable, especially with that initial visit?
Just making sure that the main things that when the new patient comes in the door in the front lobby, or any patient, is acknowledge the patient's presence. If your front desk staff are on the phone, that's fine. They need to wave at the patient. You need to acknowledge another human being's presence, because in today's world, that is uncommon. Like, it drives me nuts when I walk into a store and no one speaks, or into an office, and it happens all the time. It just it just frustrates me. It frustrates me to no end that I will take an additional step and I'll say, "Hey, how are you doing? It's good to see you today." And sort of make it awkward. You can be real loud about it. And it's like, I'm here. I exist. Your job is to greet me and you have not done that.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about some other businesses and their practices with customer service, like you have mentioned in your online course at milliondollarchiro.co. You can check that online course out. There's plenty of information on the topic we're talking about today and all the other topics we've discussed in the past and I'm sure in the future. So on your online course, you mentioned the customer service at Publix and the customer service at Chick-fil-A. Kind of talk us through those types of customer services and how you like to apply those at the office.
Yeah, so Chick-fil-A is a fast food restaurant that's in our area, and so is Publix. It's a grocery store that's in our area, and their customer service is phenomenal. And, there are a lot of grocery stores in our area. There are a lot of restaurants in our area, but I will choose to pay more to go to both of these places because the experience will be pleasant. And, same thing for your chiropractic office. You may not be the most expensive office in your town, but you want to be a place where people would be willing to pay more to come in to get treatment if that was necessary. So, you want to be, you may not be, in reality, you may not be the best chiropractor in your town. You may not have the most skill. You may not be the best. I'm sure you are, but you may not be. But you have to have the best customer service in your area, hands down. And that is going to get you lasting patients and a robust wellness practice where people are able and willing and want to come back. Customer service matters. A lot of people getting better in your office, yes, it's the adjustment and their body physically changing, but a lot of the patient's appointment also has to do with how they feel when they leave emotionally. Did you give the patient a time of day? Did they feel heard? Did they feel in good spirits? Were you kind to them? And so that really matters for patients and patient retention.
Yeah, I know Dr. Duncan has mentioned multiple times that there's plenty of chiropractic offices in this area, especially where we are at. But what differentiates us is genuinely our customer service. And it is very true. I've been to plenty of other doctor's offices in this area, and it's nothing like this office here. So it's definitely valuable. All right, so let's go ahead and we've talked about first aid procedures. We've talked about the front desk and kind of those duties. We've talked about the 3-name rule. What are some other quick little implements that we do at the office, Dr. Duncan, that you think would be really, that make us stand out from the rest of the chiropractors in our area?
So for our listeners, some easy places to start with upping your customer service game would be, number one, we write handwritten letters to all of our new patients after their first appointment. The doctor writes this letter, and you can personalize it as much as you want to, but these make a huge difference, and people don't get things in the mail anymore, and
Right.
patients, they love it. You add a business card inside of it, and it makes the patient feel special. And if the patient, if they're not coming back for 2 or 3 days before their ROF, they're probably going to get that letter in the mail before they come back, and that just makes a huge impact on your new patient. Another thing that we do is if an existing patient refers another new patient to our office, and the new patient, they have to come in. They can't just make an appointment, they have to show up for the appointment. But we will send, if it's a female that referred the new patient, we will send flowers to her place of work to thank her for the new patient referral. And that does 2 things. Number one, it makes the patient feel special. And if you send flowers to the patient's work, their coworkers say, "Wow, those flowers are beautiful. Who sent you those flowers?" And then your patient is going to say, "Well, my chiropractor sent me those flowers." And there you go. That is marketing at its finest. And so I suggest, give some nice flowers. Your flowers should be about the cost of your new patient appointment. So if your new patient appointment is $75, I would spend $75 on flowers including the cost of the delivery. Just find your local florist. If you charge $150 for your new patient, I would buy you're probably going to get flowers for $120 and they're going to charge you for a delivery fee. But the whole cost of the flower arrangement, it can be as much as your new patient appointment, because really your return on investment on that is going to be really high if you can get the patient to accept treatment. So, and then lastly, something that you can implement this year it does require thought, but it's not too hard. So I love gifting. Gifts are one of my love languages. So we do a lot for our vendors. So vendors would be the banks we work with, post office workers, the people that pressure wash our offices on a regular basis, our photographer for our office. I mean, we work with so many different vendors, and our symbol on our logo is a pineapple, which means welcome. And that's a universal sign for welcome. So we give pineapples with Christmas bows on them at Christmas time. We give out hundreds, like 200 and 300 pineapples every year to our vendors, and people remember that, and it makes a difference. And then for our patients, we send them a Christmas card in the mail. We do office photos, and we put a little surprise on the back, either for a new patient appointment or a free appointment for a loved one. We've done different things over the years, but our patients look forward to that and they love it. So those little things you may not think make a difference, but they do, because people don't do these things anymore. People don't get things in the mail. People aren't acknowledged when they walk into a place of business. So do the things that other businesses don't do, and it's going to stand out and it's going to make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Duncan, anything else on the customer experience and the Walt Disney World experience that you so often coach about?
So I would just take everything. You can start by the procedures that you have in your office and just try to break them down, and then figure out how you can take that one procedure to the next level. But a lot of this is going to have to do with your staff. You can come up with all these ideas, but if you don't have a good team, they may implement these things when you're around, but you got to make sure that they're implementing these things when you're not around. And they've got to understand that these things are important, because it keeps them employed. It keeps patients coming into the door, and it keeps them employed. And I feel like here at our practice, I love our staff members, but I also make sure that they understand that they should be appreciative for every new patient that walks in the door, because that's what keeps our offices running. And they need to know that.
Yes, and that is something we do talk about very often. And you do, I think, from the assistant position, you definitely, know these patients, you love these patients, so you want to make sure that they're feeling just as valuable and valued when they come in every single appointment. And if one assistant is doing their job and they're doing the 3-name rule, and then you come in and you have a poor attitude, and you're not saying their names, and you're not really engaging in the patients pay attention to that, and they've mentioned in the past who they love to see and who they prefer not to see. So they definitely have opinions, and they really love to see those people that bring a positive attitude to their appointments.
Yes, and you brought up a good point, Kelsey. Patients can read body language.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we aren't welcoming and we aren't inviting, patients can pick up on that in our body language. They can tell if you don't want to be at the office. They can tell if our staff members are ready to go home.
Right.
And that's not fair to the paying patient. They're paying for a service. We should be here to provide that service with a positive attitude and with amazing customer service.
Right. All right, Dr. Duncan. Well, this has been such a great little episode covering all the things about customer service and the Walt Disney World experience that we coach around the office here. We will see you next week on $1 Million Chiro.
And that's a wrap on another episode of $1 Million Chiro, the podcast. I hope you enjoyed diving into the world where chiropractic care meets successful practice management. I'm Dr. Mary Frances Duncan, your host. Remember, you can find all of our previous episodes, online courses, and details about personalized coaching with me on our website, milliondollarchiro.co. Stay connected with us on social media at $1 Million Chiro to stay updated on all things chiropractic and chiropractic practice management. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to $1 Million Chiro, the podcast, on your favorite streaming platforms, and leave us a 5-star review. Reviews help us grow and continue delivering content tailored to your interest. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep aligning your goals with your actions, and let's continue building $1 million chiropractic clinics together. This is Dr. Duncan, and I'm signing off.